Hey, what's up guys? This is the fifth and final video of my series on how to record drums, and in this one we're going to go over setting levels and tracking. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so we're almost to the finish line. Basically all we have to do now is set the appropriate gain levels on the interface to make sure that none of our tracks come out clipping or too soft. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that we have phantom power enabled on the appropriate microphones. So for me that would be the overhead left, overhead right, and the front kick. So I'll just hit the 48 volt to turn on the phantom power to the condenser microphones. Also, another thing that I like to do is to flip the polarity on my overheads on the way in, so that way they'll be in phase with the rest of the kit. So to do that, I actually have a little phase button on the 428 preamp. So I activate that, and that flips the polarity of the overheads. Now the next thing you want to do is set the mixer in your DAW to pre-fader metering, and the reason you want to do that is so you can see the actual input level coming from the interface before it's affected by the fader. So to do that in Logic, there's a button right here at the top, and that turns on the pre-fader metering, and you can see the mixer switching back and forth between pre and post fader. So I'll keep it on pre-fader. So now whenever we are getting levels, regardless of what the faders are in the mixer, if they're at different levels, when it's on pre-fader metering, we're still going to see the original level coming from the interface. Okay, so that's why you want to use pre-fader. Now the next thing we want to do is record enable all the drum tracks so we can start seeing some levels. So to do that, I can just hit the R on the kick track, and that will record enable all of the drum tracks. So now we can start seeing some levels in the mixer. Now with setting gain levels, a lot of engineers have their own philosophies on what the optimal input level is supposed to be. The one that I always came across was keeping the average level at minus 18 dB and having the peaks go no higher than minus 6 dB. So that's pretty technical. You can try to stay within that range if you want to. The way that I do it is I just try to, I hit the drum pretty hard as I'm going to hit it in the song, and then I just make sure that the level is just creeping into the yellow, so it's not even going anywhere close to the red, but it's also not just staying in the low greens all the time. So I hit hard and I bring it up until it starts creeping in to the yellow. Okay, so I'll start with the kick drum and show you how that works. Okay, so that's my personal method for setting levels. Nothing too difficult. I just hit all the individual drums pretty hard and just start turning up the gain until they creep into the yellow, and then I leave it as that, and that usually works for me. Okay, so at this point, we're basically ready to begin tracking. There's just a couple things I want to go over real quick about remote controlling your session from the drum seat. So the way I have my studio set up, I can see my computer from here, and on the left side of my kit, I have a Bluetooth keyboard and a Bluetooth trackpad. So I can pretty much control anything on the computer from here. So I can navigate, I can record, delete, start over. So I have complete control with the keyboard and the trackpad. Now with Logic Remote, this is pretty handy. If I want to go around to different markers, I can do marker 1, marker 2, marker 3. So I can navigate around the session really quick. So I can start playing from there. I can also start recording, so I can hit record. I can stop, delete. I could also go into the mixer if I want to do anything in there. So I can hit this little button up here in the top left and go to the mixer. So I have complete control, over the track. If I want to change the level coming to my headphones, I can change the pan of any of the drum tracks, all the levels for those. I can go back to my key commands, do whatever I want to do. So Logic Remote on the iPad is awesome. If you have an iPad, you got Logic, you definitely should be using that. But the Bluetooth keyboard and trackpad also works really well if you can see your computer enough to know what you're doing. So it's easier to have some kind of a remote control situation, so that way you don't have to get up, hit record, come back to your drum seat, do a take, fuck up, go back. Instead of getting up all the time, you can just do everything right from here, okay? Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is just do a sample recording to the song that I've been working on with my friend. And it's not gonna sound super good or anything. Like, none of the tracks are panned, all the levels are set to 0. So it's not gonna sound that good, but it'll at least give you an idea of what a real raw recording looks like, okay? Okay, the last thing I just want to go over real quick is whenever you're done with the recording and you just want to play back what you did, I recommend just kind of pre-mixing it a little bit, just setting the levels a little more even, panning the overheads left and right, some of the toms, just so you can kind of get a better representation of what it's going to sound like. So I'll just do it real quick here. I'm going to use Logic Remote. So we'll just start at the top, go into the mixer. So I'll turn the track down a little bit. I like to bring the kick up, bring the front kick down, bring the toms down a little bit. Pan the overheads. Pan the back tom a little bit. Keep the kick and snare in the center. Just simple stuff like that. So that'll kind of make your, monitoring session a little bit better. You can make some better decisions on if you need to re-record and what everything sounds like. So just kind of pre-mix it a little bit. And that's basically it. All right, guys. So that concludes the series on how to record drums. Some of this may have been basic for some of you guys, but I just wanted to start from scratch and be as thorough as possible for any of you guys out there that may have had some gaps in understanding how all this stuff works together. So if I was unclear about anything or I didn't explain something well enough, just leave your questions in the comments. I'll try to get to them as best I can. But hopefully you guys got something out of this that you can apply to start recording your own projects. So I'll leave you guys with that. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.